Hello everybody, yes, I am Emo Richard. I am the doppelganger of the original Richard. No, I've got to get out the door just in a moment, but we're going to do a Cavalier cheat sheet. More details do need to be added to it, but the link to it is in the description down below. There's a Google Drive link, go and check it out right now. So kicking off with 1.1, this is all about Science Champions. 1-2 Punch is on the agenda. In a nutshell, slow weakness on the defender inflicts with a non-stacking Petrify, and that will in turn lead you to build your passive Fury. Those champions that are really good against this, and as I said, I got more to add to this, but I've got to go. Get out the door in a minute. We got loads: Spider Ham with Power Stings, Wasp with Power Stings, Human Torch with Power Stings. We got Void with Weakness. We got Immortal Abomination, Petrify, Weakness debuff. That's actually a solid option, Immortal Abomination. We also got Mr. Negative, Mr. Fantastic with She-Hulk. When you're even starting off with the pre-fights, you got Petrify. There's loads of different kinds of interactions and things. So there's lots of decent champions for this. That's 1.1, especially with the boss. The boss for this one is the delightful Red Skull. And with Red Skull, he's also got Armor Break, Rich Get Richer, Toxicant, Whittled Down, and Right Back at You. The effective takedowns for this, and if you go to the tab in the spreadsheet, I've done a little boss breakdowns section. So in a nutshell, Immortal Abomination is good for this. Cap Infinity War with Science, Skill, and Tech, because you've got like the 3 debuffs there for Whittled Down. It's up to you if you want to do that. You well-timed blocks, you're sending them back. Mr. Fantastic with any pre-fights. Human Torch, no pre-fights, just got loads of debuffs. Any champion with Mr. Fantastic, any champion that does a load of debuffs are normally quite good for this. So yeah, loads of options there to take down this champion. Just have loads of debuffs. That's kind of like that in a nutshell. And if you've got a champion that's got buffs, you know, that's why Mr. Fantastic can come in there, because he can add in those pre-fights. And at the same time, if you've got a champion like Hyperion, then you're rotating around like parry and then heavy attack. 2.2 now, and it's all about Mystic Champions. Oscillate is the one on this particular agenda. Lots of champions to take on this very, very nicely. Doctor Doom with Power Control of the SP1, Magic Power Control of the SP2, Scarlet Witch with RNG, Dormammu, any with a medium is Power Control, Man Thing with Regen. So that's really the thing with this. A little bit of regen, a little bit of power burn, power drain, all that stuff does go a long way with it. So yeah, look at that. There's double options there with Oscillate Equilibrium. Each time a Mystic attack gains regeneration effect, power drain 10% of the defender's max power. So there's kind of like there's lots of things that go on, and every time you power drain, you're able to get Fury passive. So that's kind of like how that works for that one. Bosses, however, that's another kind of like situation. Scarlet Witch Sigil, a very straightforward but a very annoying boss all the same. So on my spreadsheet, I've put down information like Sorcerer Supreme, because of the way that the champion builds up power. You end with 0 power, or you have 0 power, you get punished by that Langer. In a nutshell, don't throw anything that's more than an SP2. As soon as you've got SP1 in a bit, throw the SP1 and kind of look to do that kind of like on repetition, just because it helps kind of like balance your power. You could use Namor if you wanted to try and see if you can reflect some of the damage, but it's a very, very difficult situation to kind of do that, so do bear in mind. The champion does have chaos, so you're might see like a degeneration on you for one given time. You can use Dr. Voodoo, Human Torch, Spider Ham. There's just a load of champions that can use this pretty well. So yeah, have at it, but make sure to keep a little bit of power in yourself and don't go more than an SP2. 2.1 up now, and this is all about as soon as you build buffs, you get Vigilance buff. This Vigilance buff will deal with champions that are able to falter, and that means they're going to miss, so you need to interact with that miss. The Vigilance will suppress that and make those miss effects fail. There's loads of champions to use for this to take down, but do bear in mind there are some miss counters. You know, you could even go, right, well, I'll take Professor X. You could do that. I didn't put this in the list, but you could take Professor X to this. But do look out for other champions that create buffs very nicely. Venom, for example, who also has a True Strike. You could even take Mole Man if you wanted, because of the yucks. Hercules could be an option. You've then got Cosmic Ghost Rider for creating buffs, King Groot, Hyperion, you name it. The list is there of champions to choose for this. Now the boss for this, 2.1, is Terrux, which isn't a great boss. As you know, the standout counters are normally champions like Namor, or they are magic. But you can get this option of superiority, which is for each debuff active on the attacker, they ignore 30% of the damage they would take while striking the defender up to a max of 90%. If the attacker has superiority, they reflect damage with 200% increased potency while striking the defender instead of ignoring it. So that's good, especially if you're like you want to play aggressively into Rockfield. So any champion that's a cosmic can work because superiority is given if the attacker is the same class as the defender. They gain superiority. The champions for this, again, like I did use Namor Magic, but any cosmic champion, like King Groot could be an example. But I would say there is fair warning with a lot of this. That is special delivery, so you're going to have to think about how you rotate around throwing special attacks. That's the key thing. There's also a sneaky little Be Like Water. Whenever the defender is inflicted with a non-damaging debuff, they gain unblockable passive for 8 seconds. So that's something, again, to point out. You might have to kind of consider who your options are and also your playstyle. And I ended up just kind of like getting a little bit bored with this fight, so I ended up just intercepting a lot of the times when the unblockable would pop up. Like I would just kind of like keep up the aggression on it, just because I was getting a little bit bored with that fight and kind of like how it was just kind of going on. But you could make the decision to have a champion that's a cosmic champion that you don't parry, and you then rotate around, I don't know, special attacks. Hyperion could be a really good example of an option for this. But you would have to rotate around the SP1 a lot of the time, or the SP3. But I would say SP1 would be better. So that could be a really good option for this, as being a cosmic champion at the same time. Any cosmic champion that doesn't do too many non-damaging debuffs. Now to 2.2. This one's all about mutant champions. Antagonistic. As soon as you do knockdown, so do a heavy attack, you'll get an unblockable buff. You'll then be able to like hit into the enemy. Once you do that, you'll get yourself Fury passives. If you want to play around with champions that got prowess and that, and the thing is, you could use all mutant champions. Like, I'm not saying that you don't have to use the champions I've mentioned, but they have prowess, and sometimes it's fun to kind of like play around with huge amounts of damage. Colossus, Bishop, Magneto, Apocalypse, Kitty Pryde, you name it, Professor X, you know, they're going to ramp up the damage more than they normally do if they got prowess and they got the Fury passive. But at the end of the day, you do you. Like Archangel, anything really works with this. It's all great fun at the end of the day. The boss of 2.2 is MCOC. He's got Light 'em Up and he's got Live Wire. So Light 'em Up is that shock and incinerates on the champion, reduces down the auto block and evade ability accuracy, which is great. Live Wire means that you're both going to get shocks on you, so you probably need like a shock immune to a degree. Explosive Personality, Cornered, and Ostinate Charge. In a nutshell, Ostinate Charge is going to be stun immune, and it's going to be a little bit annoying, and Tenacity is probably going to be a little bit annoying as well, but finding a counter for this is actually not too bad. There's loads, right? So you could go down the route of having a shock immune champion that also is very effective, like Mole Man, for example, Nebula, and Doctor Doom. They can be really, really effective because they will they'll suppress that shock that's going to come back to you as a player. Storm can work as well with that one, but then you might want to look into something maybe different and maybe go down the route of like Human Torch, for example. You could try to use Magneto, you know, hashtag metal and all that stuff, and I'm sure that will work to a degree as well, but I would kind of like be warned with a lot of this. It depends how you want to play into some of these nodes. I kind of feel like the ones that I mentioned first, like the Mole Mans, the Nebulas, the Doctor Dooms, not the Human Torches, but the ones that are kind of able to perform those and not receive back are normally going to be some of the best ones to interact with there with it. But be very careful depending on how you play it as to the Ostinate Charge and Tenacity as to when you're doing your parry heavies, and as well look towards Cornered. And as I said, though, I think the reason I decided to use Doctor Doom in the end for this was just based on dealing with some of that Cornered, as whenever a damage over time debuff is applied to the defender, they gain 200% more power for the duration of that debuff. So you have to be very careful about not overpowering the MCOC and trying to suppress that power whenever you can. 3.1 now, and it's Danger, High Voltage. So High Voltage is all about tech champions inflicting power drain, burn, lock, etc. and then getting back and putting a shock effect on the, and whilst having a shock effect, you're able to get the Fury passive, which allows you to do more damage. There's lots of effective options recent champions added into the mix, like Nimrod and Penny Parker, which I have both, but I use Penny Parker, and I actually love Penny Parker for this. It was probably one of my favorites. But yeah, there's loads. There's loads of options. How the Duck with the SP2, Warlock with the SP1, Iron Man Infinity War, Shock SP1, Nebula is another example. There's tons. There's literally just tons of champions to take this on tech-wise, and I'm sure you're going to have an absolute ball when you do that. But Rintra is where things get a little bit kind of like squiffy, and I would say with this one, keep this champion to an SP1 at all costs, because it is a little bit annoying. It has this weird kind of ability to it. I think it's maybe... Oh, it's a healthy disposition. The defender rotates between stun, slow, and heal block immunity every 8 seconds. The champion has an unstoppable, and what, you know, as a player, you might want to put the slow debuff down with your Shang-Chi's, your kind of She-Hulks, your Spider-Gwens, and you might want to suppress by that. Even your Silver Centurion. I'm not saying that they're not an option. They still will be, you know, sufficient options for this. It just will be a case of going, when's the right time to throw that slow debuff, but also just keeping the champion kept to a SP1 as much as possible. It's not too bad with this. The champion does throw special attacks quite regularly, so you kind of look towards your Spider-Ham, Spider-Man 2099s. Doctor Doom, I like Doctor Doom for this, but I think it was just a case of like doing the power and control elements, because the champion builds power quite fast, and that was really kind of like my thought process around this, is just suppress and go. I just kind of like spent a lot of time just getting close and kind of waiting for the champion to either kind of block break and then kind of like come back in again, or allowing to kind of be hit into the block and then kind of choosing to attack after that. And it may be kind of good to use champions like Doctor Doom because of the power control elements, because of the high block proficiency that you get from the champion, and just going to go on a slow process. So as I said, all those options: Human Torch, Archangel possibly on that one. I think Archangel could be a good option. I haven't tried that yet. I want to try that. Spider-Ham, Spider-Man 2099, any slow debuff champion, Doctor Doom, loads of options to take this down. Just keep that to the SP1, and I don't think you'll have a problem. Just look out for ticking time bomb as well, which is when the attacker performs a well-timed block, they gain a fuse charge. So maybe just allow it to hit into the block if you want to play around with that parry type dynamic as well. 3.2 now, we end with Martial Discipline, Fighting Fit. So on this one, it's all about champions that shrug off and do crits. Those are the two kind of like options really with this one: Immunity or Purify. So there's a few more I need to add into here, but I'll do that a bit later on today. Black Widow, Deadly Origin, Falcon, Nick Fury, Shang-Chi, you name it. If you do a crit, it's good for you, and you get Fury passives and stuff, and it's great. Wong, however, is a bit of a riddle wrapped in an enigma. Kabam have made this so that the defender is immune to all forms of power manipulation, and whenever the attacker gains a bar of power, the defender gains a regeneration buff, healing 3% of that, so you got to watch out about that. Whenever the attacker knocks the defender down with a heavy attack, they have 8 seconds to use a special attack, or they take 50% of their max health as a burst of direct damage. So yeah, try not to try not to heavy attack down the champion. Every 20 seconds, the attacker is inflicted with a passive power lock and special lock for 6 seconds. This isn't too bad if you think properly about how you want to rotate around stuff. If you keep this champion to his SP1, he's not too bad. He's actually like quite okay. There are some other options to take this down that outside the box are quite good. Thing, Kingpin, Immortal Abomination. For me personally, it was Spider-Man 2099 that did the business. The champion regularly throws special attacks, so Spider-Ham may be good options for this. Shang-Chi could be a good option as well, especially depending on how you want to rotate around things when Unstoppable comes up. But, you know, that points to the champions like She-Hulk as well, so those could be options for you to take down. But, yeah, this was okay. I'm not actually going to be 100%ing Cavalier Difficulty this month. I'm going to be focusing on Karina's challenges. It's fun. It's okay. I'm just not interested in Cavalier at the moment. But that's been that. That's been the Cavalier cheat sheet. And, yeah, good luck to everybody who's doing a completion, 100%ing and all that stuff. And that's been the video. Check out the spreadsheet, which is located in the description down below. It'll take you to the Google Drive. And I'll see you in the next one, the next video, which I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I will do it when I'm back from where I'm going. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.